Welcome to Talent Buzz, where I talk about talent acquisition with fast-growing SaaS and tech companies. Today, I'm joined by Esko Mertsalmi, co-founder and ex-CEO of Unikie. Today, we talk about Esko's years as a CEO of the company from 2015 and 6 years forward from there, while the company grew from 0 to 350 employees. We talk mainly about building a culture and how to recruit good people for that culture and their leadership style and, for example, how they use lean in their operations. And let's start today's episode with a little bit of background for the company and Esko.
My name is Esko, and long story. As a youngster, I was in automotive industry as a rally co-driver, and since retired, did like 10 years and studied a bit on the side, and then pretty much turned into software industry somewhere early 2000. So about 20 years history in software product development and supply chain. Mostly been working in the development companies, in the service provider companies for. As there is not too many technology companies in Finland available, but yeah, that's still. It's been upside working for lots of different kind of products. So especially in product engineering, software product engineering, meaning that you kind of have a wide variety of difficult kind of products you can work with and operate with. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And about bit of the kind of personality side. So I've always loved to work with the clients and sales, but never really focused on the sales only. So it's business development, general management, and stuff like that. And that's pretty much where I still, I'm happy. That's my happy place, to be problem solving, to be looking ahead, developing things and looking new clients, working on and especially today, but I'm a bit inside the Unikie, but also outside, looking outside, kind of enthusiastic view on how we would take Finland to next level in international business and what are the bottlenecks in Finland. I've been fortunate to see that, if I dare to say, problematics really clearly through Unikie and the problem we've had in going international and the bottlenecks. So it's kind of it's been a painful process all in all, but it's pretty teaching you quite a lot as well to understand how is the society, how are things in Finland, and how do we compare in international competition, how do we compare to other countries, what are advanced countries like not country but Silicon Valley, you take Israel, you take South Korea and Japan, and how is Finland if you compare to such players, and then if we would like to kind of go to that direction, what would need to be done, what are the bottlenecks, etc. So it is something I've been pretty keen to understand more lately. So it's been an interesting journey.
I think those are very interesting markets. I don't know them super well, but for example, for this podcast, I've been interviewing software companies from Israel and from Silicon Valley, and for example, how they are running their talent acquisition, how they are leading their people. And it is quite different from Finnish companies. There are, of course, similarities. I think people are people, like wherever they are, but then there is some cultural aspects and all that. So very, very interesting. I must ask, is Kalle Rovanperä the go-to rally driver right now, or is someone else?
Definitely. Used to be in the same team with his father, so it must be a long time ago. But obviously, he's kind of different from all the other people in the sport. Rally has been for ages something you kind of start young, so that there's no difference in Kalle in that sense. But he's kind of multi-talent, so he's been doing a lot of things with motorcycles as well, and he's now actively doing drifting, and I've at least heard a rumor that he would be looking for Le Mans 24 or something like that to do track racing as well. So he's a multi-talent, and that's kind of different. He's a kind of interesting personality to follow, and clearly the results this far are remarkable already at his age. But and I think it's kind of wise to understand that you take a little break, and it might take longer because there was some, he's been doing it so professionally so long time already that it kind of consumes the energy. And really have to say the sport is so different from what it used to be. We kind of had more fun, and they are doing it like there was a interview now during the Monte Carlo Rally of Jonne, his co-driver, and yeah, I knew how it is, but it's kind of hard to hear that. Okay, he said that he can sleep like 4 or 5 hours per night during the rally week. And all the other time you need to be working on the notes and look through the videos. Okay, we already had video at that time to check certain spots on the road if needed on the stages, but nowadays the guys just take it to another level. I mean, they are just going it do over and over, and it's really consuming when you take it to such a detailed level that you don't have time to sleep and do other things at the rally week at all.
Exactly. But you and kind of your company, you've seen through the last few kind of decades of kind of software talent, and if we look at the market situation right now, I feel like, at least looking from my perspective, it's like one of the best times to recruit senior tech people in many years, and a lot of our customers are seeing it. A lot of tech leads I'm talking to are seeing that one. But back in the days when you really had those growth years, you were hiring a lot of people. Everyone else were hiring the same exact people. There maybe wasn't that many of those people available. So can you talk a bit on that one, kind of at that time? Like, how were you able to get the right people in when everyone was trying to get the same people in?
Yeah, but since you started to talk of the auto industry, I'm kind of keen to look a bit longer perspective, because I mean I've been fortunate to I was at the time even younger I had a dream to become a automotive engineer, but that's not a industry in Finland, so I just was not kind of seeing my career to go international at that point. So I decided to go to the mechanical engineering, heavy equipment, and industrial economics, and started. But anyway, the software was already in early 2000. I mean, already at 1990s, software was coming into heavy equipment, for example, strongly, and it's been the same problematics. Even it was much smaller and not so much understanding. Was a great talent, but what wasn't much different in terms of what the great talent is in terms of kind of the mathematical skills and solving problems and knowing also how to code, but that not being the only thing. And it's been same ever since, that the great talent just is great talent, and often it's pretty easy. I mean, even in, say, company management, hasn't had a tendency to try to understand what it means. And then also in the R&D side, the kind of whatever you call it, project, program management, product management in the companies kind of, I guess until the days has always has a pretty slow learning curve in understanding the talent. And I think that's been, and it still is, I mean, it's more and more, but you'd say, take an example on the public sector and how it operates. If already in early 2000, we were doing business in Sweden, and in Sweden the public sector sourcing was pretty differently arranged in a way that they really had the skills and competencies and knowledge in the organization side to know what they are doing, to understand the architecture, and really owning the design of the systems, and in that way taking responsibility of the architecture and implementation. And if you do that in-house, it's much easier to outsource the development because you are on top of what's happening. And Unikie story started 2015. So I guess that was pretty much kind of the burning times or whatever times in the, at least in market in Finland, and I guess globally as well. Kind of some people were talking of the talent war, and as we founded the company, we started, number one customer was Sandvik, but it was not kind of heavy equipment side project we were entering. In the beginning, it was more of the enterprise application, full stack thing. So it was on the Red Sea in that sense, that things which everybody are pretty much fighting. But as a company, our idea, well, it was not to bring the company to the embedded space from the beginning, but we, through the clients and through the analysis and through the international visions and we also wanted to invest in the technology and R&D from the very early, and it was pretty clear we focused pretty early on let's say first half year. We started, I guess, the first project August 2015. Pretty fast, learned, evaluated, focused on kind of trial and error way of speaking with clients, and we also had a pretty focused list of most wanted customers, top 5 in the beginning. We had 3 of those pretty fast, and through that concept we had a focus of not focusing on the enterprise application, but rather focus more on the embedded side. It was in the beginning a bit, how should I say, at least personally I was pretty uncertain if it's a good move, because there was not at all hype or any interest in the market. And I guess the reason was that there was not really international projects available in Finland other than the existing ones. So there is companies, there is good companies, there's good projects, but it had been very stable environment in terms of what projects you've got available in the market. So there wasn't many opportunities for the people, and many speaking of embedded, you are on the side of your computer side of the things. So you have the computer, you can understand it's often purpose built for the product, or multiply computers and a complex environment of cloud and server and embedded and edge and whatever, and you need to kind of tackle with the latencies and network problems and whatnot. So it's kind of complex engineering problem, and through the Nokia history, there is a lot of engineering talent pool in Finland, but many of those people had already transformed to the enterprise application side, and not all of them were willing to do that. So I guess our trick or upside or whatever was really not to kind of try to fight with the others on the same demand, but we rather just positioned ourselves in a new spot. And I guess I was managing director and CEO, later on CEO of the company for the first 6 years of the company, and at that time we were never really focused on fiercely fighting in the Red Sea. We were rather focusing on the market spot, which is kind of unique for us.
That's interesting. And I think what I've noticed is, like, typically, I think this goes both for customers and your kind of future employees. Like, if you find your kind of positioning on the market, it really helps on both of those. And for me, it's been actually a bit weird. Like, I feel like most companies do a lot of customer research, when finding a company. You, like, well, how we did it back in the days. Like, I think we talked roughly with 50 tech and SaaS founders about talent acquisition, what kind of challenges they have around that, or really, validation of the problem, what different options they see in the market, and from there find our positioning. But then when it comes to talent acquisition and recruiting people, I think most companies never do that one, like any kind of talent research. And that was actually something we did even before we did the kind of problem validation for our company idea. So we talked with around 30 talent acquisition professionals and kind of really had a super deep dive on where they are working now, what is good, what is bad, how to build a better workplace for those people. And it's fun to see like there is still a lot of people from there that was like 2 years ago now in our talent pipeline interested in joining to work with us, because you're going to build the workplace around the things that those people wanted. So I think more companies should be also doing kind of talent research more.
Yeah, but I think, I really agree, and I think that also goes for the kind of silo between traditional management and the software development. Or when I'm talking of software development, you can always kind of make that equal to IT work. It's not too much different, but I'm just separating that we are not really on the IT services business, we are on the product engineering. But anyway, what you said is coming back to what I was talking of, how the generic leadership teams often think about building IT. It's a hard topic to touch often. And I think same goes for recruitment, as you say, that if you are, say you are a sales-oriented general leader and you are recruiting sales staff, it's very easy to be very involved in the process. But I haven't, I don't have the latest analysis and data on how is the, for example, the managing director, CEO level in Finland doing in the digital skills. But anyway, it's just my generic feeling still, gut feeling still is that it's hard for many people to really go deep dive. And if we are hiring a senior architect who is going to be a key player in our software asset in the future. Of course, software company leaders are on top of this. But if it's an auto company, for example, in Germany, it's definitely hard for them to really go deep on the recruitment and discussion and analysis. I mean, either, even to go through a dialogue once you are doing the decision, what should we talk to those guys? Normally, it's just, hey, go do the thing, and you kind of have, and I also see this happening in our company, that you kind of throw the problem to the recruitment side. Hey, you do the recruitment, and then it's just, let's keep fingers crossed that everything happens well, but you kind of don't have the common language to talk, and you are not involved in those decisions as, if you are doing kind of strategic key person recruitments in the company overall, you are very involved, but it's not always as well understood that if you do such decisions in the software asset or IT digital platform side of the company, then you should be really, really, really involved in it, but it's difficult often. You're right.
Yeah. Well, then would be interesting to talk a bit about kind of culture, and I think especially culture when you are growing fast, and maybe for background information, kind of during your time leading the company from 2015 to was 2021 roughly, like how much did you grow as a company, if you look from revenue perspective or headcount perspective, just to give the listeners a bit idea on the growth?
Well, yeah, we were at my time when I got retired and turned into more the share person role. It was from 0 to 350 people, and from 0 to can't recall, something 35 million euro revenue, and then want to say that it's lean, and the values and the culture and the tools, and the upside is that it was always profitable, and we still did pretty heavy investment on the technology from pretty much not day one, but year one, you can say, not day one. But once we kind of had a 6 months rolling revenue funded, cash machine going, we started to invest in the tech, and that's the ballpark.
Yeah. So if we think about like 0 to 350, I think like a lot of new people, and I think what I've been kind of studying or learning regarding leading culture, there is of course the things that you kind of have decided in a way that okay, hey, here are our company values or this kind of company we want to be building, and you can lead those things for sure, and you can show examples around those things. But then at the same time, like every time a new person comes in, that person is bringing something new for the culture.
Yeah.
So what was kind of your approach on leading culture when you really grew that fast?
Well, first of all, we've got 5 founders, and 4 of us has extensive experience in the domain, and so we pretty much did the strategy work and planning for the first 5 years in advance, in a way that okay, of course we didn't do it then. You always, once you kind of hit the wall, you need to find solutions for the problem. But luckily, and I guess it's the experience, it's humbleness to respect the kind of facts in the market, and it's third of all is the limitations of non-limitations of legacy, that you really establish a new business, you are free of all the legacies. I mean, once you are established in any way, you will have the legacy, and we had the freedom, so we put together the understanding and built the concept tool chain. Once we started the first project, we already had a tool chain existing, and tool chain which was in the concept level very closely combined with the values, and a good team. And that way it was kind of good fit for the people joining, and there was kind of no need to, of course, I mean, the people made it what it is, and you are exactly right, but in a way it was not in the beginning, it was the product of the 5 founders. It was the concept made of all the people we've kind of met and worked with in our histories. And the 5th founder, Mikko Elaranta, actually is an ex-ice hockey player, and kind of bringing in a nice flavor of different kind of experience on the topic. But yeah, that's so we just, okay, you might call it luck or whatever, but we just had a luck to be able to design and create the concept in the beginning, which was pretty useful for many years. And as I've had more time to reflect on what we really did, we kind of had a handful of people really looking for lean methods, and then lots of people not so much interested in the topic, whether there is values, whether there is lean. But for all, it was super valuable when it was functional. But and personally, when I've now over 3 years to kind of, for 3 years to analyze and understand what we did, and going through kind of peer examples and benchmarks, it was really pretty, in my understanding and to my knowledge and the analysis and benchmarks I've gone through, it was a good example of how do you execute lean process, and with good and bad. So all the lean examples and stories of successful lean companies are bringing up certainly the downsides of the system as well, and things which kind of I consider being a bit problematic or hard to handle, where such which all the lean companies are experiencing, and we perhaps how we try to kind of scale up, we take to kind of more traditional leadership kind of things, and I think we, for time being, have to look back a bit as well to analyze kind of the lean side of scaling things. It's also very, very, very much proven to be effective way as well. And we see many giant companies, tech companies globally going into more lean. But it's not, I mean, the most kind of hot examples always being Facebook and Google and such, but it's kind of centrally leaded. So to understand how we do business, and you kind of need to look companies like Oracle and IBM, which are more serving business-to-business customers rather than doing consumer platform. So it's you cannot just jump to one company, okay, what you are doing and bringing everything in. You have to understand what you are doing and they are doing and what's good and bad. Or you can maybe take out of the good examples.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard the term lean and also like studied something around that one. But still, I do feel like so many people mean so different things when they are talking about lean, and what does it actually mean. So can you give some like kind of super clear, kind of day to day or week by week examples, like what did it actually mean that your organization was lean? Like how did it show for the employees or for the management team? Like what does it actually mean?
Well, I mean, we kind of did it through the concept so what maybe the problem for us that we were not teaching too much that, hey, this is lean and this is how we do it. So first, maybe I just kind of phrase the term. What I think it's important that if you've got a normal factory, say you've got a car factory, it's pretty clear to understand you've got, materials coming in and cars on the other side going out. So the layout of the system is pretty easy to understand. And if you imagine any software industry or any IT or information industry where just people work together and it's not working with the hardware assets, you normally don't see the layout. And in the lean, it's all is about visualizing the how you bring the customer value, what's the layout of the system. So it's system design of the company. And what we did, so the question was what we really did. We did the tool chain. Tool chain was, we still use the Odoo, and it's not very, I mean, it's generic tool is not the best in many ways, but it was best for us, and we used it in all the functions of the company. So we had a uniform tool for everything else than financial account. The tool chain, what this business is about. It's about customers, and it's about people, and it's about then optimizing the customer satisfaction and employee experience, and pretty much nothing else. But of course, in the end, you need to be profitable doing that you can continue and grow. But that's what our tool chain was, and it still is doing, but we've kind of taken different flavors on it. So we were more on the lean side in the early 5 years. But so if you just do the tool chain in a way that you freeze certain points of the system workflow in serving the customer, say that you've got a sales process, salespeople are doing what they are doing and they are bringing it up in the Odoo, and then recruitment people are having, I mean, of course there is the human touch always, but you always have as well the interface freezed in the tool chain that you regardless of who is, you always have the individual problems that you've got from people working together and they don't want to work together. And this is kind of the solution we try to tackle, and by freezing the interfaces of the tool chain between all the functions. So it's kind of, in lean, you kind of build the customer in Finnish imu, so flow, whatever you call it, but then you just follow and you support always. You don't build individual functions which are planning the individual agendas, but you just basically serve the customer need. You don't forget the people working in the system. Of course, you have to be kind of clear on that. For me, the difference with not being lean or being lean, or what we did, was really that we've kind of, since then, when we started to try to tackle the scaling problem through the functional teams in the company. They really don't know what each other team is doing. They don't have synchronized plans. They don't understand strategy, and they've got many problems. And with Lean, everybody can see and understand the system, and then you've got different problems. But the problem is not that you wouldn't understand what we are doing and what we should be doing, and how should everyone be contributing the system. So I don't know if it was super clear example, but I guess I just rip it out, and that's the big difference in how I've seen it happen. And it's not black and white, and value based. Maybe not to forget the values, that you have to be very strong on values. And if you were asking of Kalle, so I guess part of the Kalle story in Rally is the Toyota story in how Tommi Mäkinen built the team up, and actually 2017 did the re-entry for Toyota to Rally in Monte Carlo, and that's been a success story as well. But such a big company, and Akio Toyoda, who was at the time the CEO and is now chairperson of the company, so he was personally kind of already a year before, and at that time Jari-Matti Latvala was rolling with Volkswagen. But so he met with Jari-Matti, and Jari-Matti told about his historic cars in his garage, which all are Toyotas. and Mr. Toyoda said that that's one of the decisions why he in the end decided to join, as he see the enthusiasm of his. And Mr. Toyoda is really committed to kind of, if you think about how the Rally project, it's just more part of the full factory, but he's also committed to lead the company with the values. And if you forget the values, you can forget the system in such, because then just run through people, and it's individual people decision, not the company values. So I've come to think that it's pretty black and white. If you run Lean through the values, then you have to do it. But if you give any space for people to start to do individual decisions based on kind of their own clever thinking, then they are replacing the system which is supposed to be Lean. So it's very hard process to set up as well. It's not like a easy thing.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about that topic lately a lot while we've been building, our customer processes and how to do those. And I think the challenging part has been maybe finding the balance between, like, this is the talent B way of working, how we want to work, how we want to serve customers. I as a founder, I want to make sure that we have a kind of similar way of serving customers. Whoever the customer is working from our team, they are getting the same value. But then at the same time, understanding our people, like our people don't want to be robots just doing tasks on a Trello card or something like that. They want to use their experience, their expertise in helping helping customers. So kind of finding the balance between those two have been kind of very, very challenging, and I'm like all the time figuring out like which way to go with that, and kind of find the golden midway from there.
Yeah, but that's the key question really there is. I mean, in the end, that's the kind of, I guess, the key reasoning why we kind of started researching other ways to control. Because I guess the key question is the control, how much and how you want to control. So first of all, if you build Lean, you kind of tend to make people be empowered to do what you kind of give freedom to do decision as much as possible, to kind of get rid of not necessary, decision making in central structures which are not providing value for the system or for the customer. And it's not easy, and it's been with the old school system. You just basically do naming of the team. You make the management team, and then off you go. But it's been said, and to me, it's, at least I'm fully agree that the Lean system, requires much more structure So you need to build microstructures. What are the kind of control points people need to follow in order? And in my understanding, then if you want to do it lean, you just need to control. Okay, this is the customer service process we need to follow, and these are the kind of protocol steps you need to follow, and then you need to build it in the toolchain somehow to kind of require the workflow to go always in the same way. But once doing that, you kind of have a micro control on how the workflow is going on. But then you don't need to have the centralized management or supervisors or any additional old school management to follow up if it's done or not. It kind of, you just have to teach the people on the workflow to do it. And and then you have it. But then again, once you've done it, what happened to us is that you kind of don't have so much control when you are not on the centralized planning in account hunting. For example, you don't have the centralized control what our client portfolio looks like, what our segment portfolio looks like, and also doing it in Finland, we can do it with the lean margin structure, but going to international, we need more margin. How do you manage that? How do you put targets on the organization that we need more margin? And also, as we've been on the software R&D and then product R&D from 2016, it's obvious that we want to build products as well, and to do software product would be basically, okay, we've got models for license models and for the SaaS. So, but anyway, it's again a different margin game. How do you drive such strategic goals in the organization? It's not so easy to do through the lean. So you kind of cannot really go. And your example is great. I mean, that's the key thing. So it's just fun tool.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then one thing that I think you have learned a lot. I've been starting to learn it, but it's kind of getting rid of things as a founder, kind of from your own plate. Like in the beginning, you kind of want to have that sense of control on like everything that is going on in the business. But as you continue to grow, you just cannot like have all the things in in your hands. If you kind of continue to do so, most likely you will slow down the organization regarding decision making and all that. So I think all the founders, they basically need to go from founder led to some other led, whether it's about sales, for example. Like I'm just figuring out how to hire our first salesperson and teach everything about how we do sales to that person and see if we can transition from founder led sales to kind of salesperson led sales. And would be interesting to hear your thoughts on that one, for example, like as you continue to grow, bringing in outside CEO, outside management, all that. And what kind of learnings do you have from those times?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it as having 5 founders, and at the beginning, I kind of being an entrepreneurial and then growing up in a family with both parents coming from such families as well, and it's been clear to me that I'd rather just have to force myself to work with others as well to gain experience in the industry. I mean, if you start to have that career very early, it's kind of more difficult. You have to learn somewhere. So for me, this was kind of third company I founded, but it was the first which I really got more than 3 years. I mean, I've got I have the old company still, but it always happened that starting up alone, started with building up the clients and working with kind of things of passion. So for example, I started a company to do motorcycle television. I went to my friend and said, okay, I've got sponsorship for this thing, and but you have the TV teams, so I need your resources. And then he said, okay, yeah, we can do this project, but I need your help in just going for the World Rally Championship. And then, I mean, I wanted to do with sports, I wanted to do with television, and in the end we were doing and he's still doing the World Rally full TV. I mean, all the TV shows coming out is done by a Finnish company. So I that happened twice, and now with the third time we had a good team. So and as we had a team of founders, it's a bit different. I mean, if you're a single founder, it's more difficult for you to learn how to let it go. But if you've got 5 founders, you've already kind of accommodated your thinking more into the, hey, this is going to scale, new things are coming out, they're also going to change. So it's been much easier. And we actually, I mean, not all the founders were full-time in the company from the beginning. So it was kind of mixing that we hired like salespeople already from the outside, while not all the founders were full-time working for the company. So it was kind of a hybrid setup from the very early days. So for us, it's been easy. And yeah, that's been in talking of sales. I mean, it was easy to scale it up that way. That we kind of that was not the problem. It was, in my opinion, it was a lot of fun. But as I've learned, many leaders want to have control, and anyone with the sense or urge for control, it might be difficult to let things go and happen around you in an uncontrolled way. It might be the case in Lean, at least for us it was, because we had a pretty clear vision what we want to be, and then kind of you just, go full gas on that and try to find all possible best talent available in the sales side as well to hunt for the goals. And I mean, if you are successful on that, you don't really are on control of what's happening. You're just enjoying the results more or less, and you have to accommodate that you cannot control on that. But then regarding the harder phase on your question, that how do you let it go and how do you understand it? I guess it's come when we are more international, more on scaling phase of the company, and how to build structures and how to make it really grow. But yeah, as of course always there is problems. I mean, my learning in this 8-9 years so far is that it just seems to be that the company is kind of facing the problems which are in proportion to the company size, and you have to tackle those to go further. And sometimes, I mean, we had a kind of micro problems in the early days, but it was always so fast to solve that we didn't see the results. But now if you look at the company profitability outside, you can obviously see that once we kind of took the investor and started to invest in the structure side, it was a bigger and harder kind of problem to solve. But on the other hand, if you look at the companies very successful in Finland, like in Tampere, Co-Founder and Solita, Capital Helsinki, Futurice, Reactor, Vincit here as well, and many others. So all those has a long history, long tail in how to build up the kind of company culture and platform to start growing later. And then we really did the kind of rapid growth already from the very beginning. And I don't know if it's got difference. I haven't really had a chance to kind of compare this part of the history with those peers. But anyway, it's just that you have to kind of develop the system, and definitely it's always harder when you've got the system running bigger.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you got a lot of good ideas about SaaS talent acquisition. If you enjoyed the episode, feel free to share it on your social so others can hear it too. And if you have a topic in mind that you would like me to cover in this podcast, share it with me as well. I'm Samuli, CEO and co-founder in Talentbee, where we help fast-growing SaaS companies in their talent acquisition. Make sure to follow us, make sure to follow this podcast, and have an awesome week. Bye-bye.